My husband promised change but left me and the community in ruins. When my husband Marcus first launched the community center program for troubled youth, it felt like we were truly doing something good. We were changing lives, and it wasn't just about politics anymore. It was about people. It was his dream and mine. The idea that we could give these kids a place to go, a place to feel safe, was what kept me going during those long nights when we'd stay up late, mapping out plans and going over budgets. We were in this together. I remember when we first opened the doors, the excitement on the kids' faces, and the pride in Marcus's eyes. He wasn't just a politician, he was their hero. At least that's what I thought. I thought we were their heroes. But slowly, I started to notice the shift. In the beginning, Marcus would come home excited, telling me stories about the kids, about the ways they were thriving in the programs, about how we were building a community, something real. But then, as the months went on, the spark in his eyes began to fade. I told myself it was just stress. After all, he was juggling the political pressures, and I was there to support him, like I always had. But the more I tried to understand, the more I felt him slipping away. The community center wasn't what it used to be. The kids were still there, but things weren't as bright, and Marcus wasn't as present. He stopped showing up for meetings. When he did, his mind was always elsewhere. I told myself I was being paranoid. I tried to ignore the doubts creeping into my mind. One evening, I found myself in the office late, flipping through reports. I stumbled upon an email I wasn't supposed to see. The numbers weren't adding up. The funds we'd allocated for the kids, for the programs, were being diverted somewhere else. I approached Marcus, but his response was quick and dismissive. He brushed me off, telling me not to worry about the details, that everything was fine. But I knew he wasn't being honest. And then came the excuses. He was too busy with his campaign. He needed to attend this fundraiser. He couldn't make it to the community center anymore. Not tonight, not this week. Every time I suggested we check in together, he had an excuse ready. I thought maybe it was the stress of the election coming up. But the truth hit me that Marcus was no longer there for the kids, for the community, or for me. The weekly meetings we'd once held together stopped. The kids we'd once met with no longer looked up to him. They'd seen the absence, felt the distance. And then one day, the community center closed its doors without any warning. The kids came to me confused, asking where Marcus was, but I had no answers. I wanted to scream at him, to demand answers from the man I loved, but what was left of him? He'd already left. The final straw came one night after I tried to talk to him again. His campaign was the priority, that all the funds for the community had to be drained so he could get elected. He told me that he had to keep pushing forward. He had nothing left for me or the community. And for the first time in months, I felt nothing but silence between us. A few days later, I filed for divorce. His response? Okay. He barely looked up from his desk when I told him. He had nothing left to give me, and that was it. The man I married, the one who once cared deeply for those kids, for that program, had disappeared. I stood outside the closed doors of the community center, the place we'd built together, and I realized it was all gone. I felt the weight of everything, all of it crushed under the weight of his neglect, and I was left standing there, alone, with nothing but memories of what could have been. I didn't know what to do anymore. I couldn't save the program. I couldn't save my marriage. I was left holding the pieces, and I had no idea how to put them back together. All I wanted was for things to be different. But in the end, all I had was the loss. And now, I'm not sure if I'll ever find my way back to the person I used to be.